Okay, you can start.
Okay, recording in progress. So welcome to everyone. Post-meridian salutation to all the Homo sapien in this abode. Okay, so I'm saying welcome to everyone on this platform, Pacelli Alumni Hangout, where we are going to be talking about parenting as a blind person, the pros and cons of it, and for the young adult and aspiring parent, lessons to learn and the way forward. That is where and what that is what we are talking about. So I bid everyone welcome, Ekabo, bienvenue au programme to this webinar. I know I'm speaking in tongues right now, right? So Chilean 2009 set. And I'm so joyous and happy today to be hosting. I will be getting to talk to my, I truly salute to them, my parents in the house, getting to know their experience, the bell. I'll start to jingle it. All right, so to be on the I table, we have three beautiful, scintillating, educative persons or personality with us. I start with what we are actually clamoring for in the SCG. Ladies first. I start with the lady, or should I know? Let me call her lady, yes. Her name is Mrs. Kudirat Amuda, and let me keep it there. Welcome to this gathering, ma'am. Can we hear your voice?
Yeah, thank you, and good
Looking
evening.
for your mic. Good evening, ma'am. And also we have our wonderful daddy, also in the house, in person of Pastor, I don't know if it's Adegoke Lawrence Arowo Shegbe. Welcome, sir, to this gathering. Can we hear your voice?
Good evening, everyone, and how do we say it? Happy Children's Day in what?
Yeah. Yes, Arias. We are all children, yes. And I'm so happy because I'm a child. Yeah. All right. So today we're actually celebrating the Children's Day in a grand style, basically. Now, the grand style is that we have our parents, we have experienced parents with visual impairment who are going to be telling us their experience, how it has been so far, the pros and cons of having to be a parent with visual impairment, what the stage has been, the light and all that. But in between time, in case you have questions, you will definitely have a session to talk about it. You can either drop your questions, comments in the chat box, right? Or when the time is given, you will be asked to ask your question. But before then, let's get to know who our guest is. The first person, you've heard the voice, Mrs. Amuda, and the second person, Pastor Arowo Shegbe. So let them say it with their mouth. Mrs. Amuda, for how long, person will be wondering, oh, that angelic voice, how come you're telling me that person is married, even to be a mother? No. But let's hear the speak for itself. But before then, before they come and plug me where I am, I also bid welcome to the executive members of the Pacelli Alumni, the president, Madam Omolara Daniel. Please, may you welcome us in. Pardon me, please. I didn't welcome you the first time. I guess she's looking for a mic.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here, actually. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's program. Hopefully, we'll learn a lot from our parents. We are all children. Even me, I'm a child. I think we lost Kemi, the host, right there. But before she comes back. So very soon the panelists will be speaking. But before they do, I still, on Kemi's behalf and the executive members of the All Students Association of Pacheli School, welcome everybody to this event where we shall be learning from our experienced mothers and fathers what it has been like parenting as a blind person. I think for me, I feel like this is a session that will open our eyes to so many things, most especially to the single bachelors and spinsters among us who are maybe still thinking, can I get married to a blind person? Will she be able to take care of the home? Or will he be able to take care of me? I think today you will have answers to all of your questions. The best thing is for us to keep an open mind and learn, digest as much as you can. So let's sit back and relax. Kemi, are you here now?
Adeshewa.
Oh, I don't think she's here just yet. I think our network is pretty bad.
You will
Let
go
me
by
see.
5, okay? Go by 5 and you do just 5 to 6.
Let me see. Okay, she's not yet here. So maybe I should just begin the event on, I don't really know what she has been able to put down our questions for the panelists. So, but without keeping us waiting for so long, we have our panelists and I'm sure they have other things to do today. So let me start by asking, so who do I start with now? Let me start with Pastor Aaron Shegbe. So, sir, I think you should let us know how, what it was like the very first time you became a father. And also, Miss Kudirat Amuda, get ready to also give us your perspective to this. So how was it like the very first day you realized you were a father?
Oh, I hope you can all hear me.
Yes, we can, very
All right.
clearly.
I want to say good afternoon again to everyone, and I want to thank the executive for this privilege. I consider it a very privilege, and I'm not taking it for granted because I'm aware that several other people who could probably have been invited and they will probably do lots better. So I appreciate the honor and privilege. In the pastor way, we say, God bless you all. Was it like the first day I realized I became a father? Very wonderful. First of all, I recall that morning of 1st April of that very year. I want to keep the year now. But it was 1st of April, around 5 a.m. I woke up. Of course, I know my wife was expecting, we were expecting, we've prepared, we've done all we needed to do. And she woke up and she wasn't feeling too comfortable. She was to prepare for work. I was to prepare for my work too. And suddenly we discovered that, I'm sure Kudi will be able to share more light on that. Maybe water was dropping, as it were. And so I got my neighbor to drive since my driver had not arrived. So we rushed down to Lagoon Clinic in Apapa. For the first time, I had a privilege because I was called to come into the labor room, which I didn't find very funny. I thought labor room was purely for women who are about to give birth to children. About in about 20 minutes we entered, they sent for me to come into the labor ward. I was like, for what? And the nurse said, you did it together. I recall her statement. Are we there?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So for what? And she said, you did it together. So come bear the pains together, come bear the agonies. And so I was there. I entered the labor room, just ordinary room. I said that is separated as a labor ward with all medical facilities in place. My wife on bed, screaming for pains. And then I was asked to be rubbing her back, rub her stomach. It was like, at a point in time, I heard something like, oh, I can't breathe again. And I said, God, is it by force to have children? I'm not ready for all this stress, Jerry, because me, I like easy going. I just want to be on my own. That wasn't a good statement, though. We will come back to it later. But that was it. So I was rubbing the back, and the medicals were doing their things, breathe in, breathe out, try and push when I ask you to push. I was shot there, and well, after a while, the baby noise came up like that, and they said, "That's it,
Wow.
your baby is on." And they grabbed the baby, took him away. It was a male, and of course, I cared to check the time. And so joy started. I was like, so boy, you have reproduced yourself now, and yeah, they took the baby away for cleaning. There was somebody else was attending to the mother, and was like, don't call anybody yet, don't call anybody yet. That's the noise, that's the nurse. And so we kept it a bit. After they were done with the cleaning and clearing, they said, okay, your baby is here now and healthy. We have cleaned him up. You can now tell your friends. So I remember one of the first few I called was David Ocon, whom I'm sure you all know very well. And he too called others like that. So it was actually glorious to be called a father. I spent from about 5 a.m. we left the house. I did not come back to my house till about few minutes to 12 in the night or early the next morning now. So 5 a.m. till about 11 something p.m. And of course, I came in alone because mother and baby were left at the clinic being attended to. But I was happy inside my heart. I was raising my shoulder up. Boy, you have arrived. You have done something good. And more so that it was actually a boy. Anyway, more so that it's a boy, even though I've always wished for girls. I will tell you why later. But I've always wished for baby girls. I think that was not it. It was a good experience. And well, that's it, Sha. That's it.
Wow, that's actually nice. Such experience just made me smile and all that. Then, sorry, apologies for my network that broke out. So back to you, Madam Kudirat. You mentioned something about, maybe something like water broke and all that. Before your first issue, have you had have you been reading book and you got to know the processes? You got to know the processes that, okay, when a water breaks from once, and that means that the person is going to, I'm just looking at it from the angle of a visually impaired woman who wants to give birth. What was the experience like when you got to the labor room? Were you feeling, oh, I cannot see anything? Were you using your hand to guide the bed and all those things? What was it like?
Wow. Yeah, I want to say thanks to everyone once again for having me here. Like Mr. Aro Shegbe rightly said, this is a great privilege because there could have been many people here that would do better than both of us, but you deemed it fit to give us a chance to come and, share with you our experiences. So thanks once again. Yeah, well, the first time I discovered, or that I when I went to the hospital and they told me I was pregnant, I began to wonder. I was surprised. So you mean somebody is growing in me? So I was, I took extra care of myself, like before that I would be nonchalant to certain things. I began to, you
Madam Kudi, I don't know if you're there. I think we're losing you.
Sure, sure.
You're muted. Can you unmute your mic? You're muted. Perhaps your fingers touched
Oh,
it.
I'm so
Yeah,
sorry. I
it's
didn't know I
fine.
had. So I used to eat good food. I used to eat fruits a lot because I was concerned about the fact that I wanted my baby to come out good. I wanted her to come out, or him or her. I didn't know what the gender was then. So I wanted the child to come out perfect. So then, yeah, like the moderator asked me earlier on that had I read up things about when the water broke, when I've heard about it, but I did not pay attention to it. Yes, I did not pay attention to maybe when the water broke or anything. I just paid attention to taking care of myself and ensuring that the baby comes out good. So it was on a Friday night. That was on the 14th of June. Yes, 2002 to be precise. So I just finished eating eba. As I finished the food, I wanted to go and lie down. I just noticed this tiny, as like a pinch. I was wondering that, come, what's wrong? Oh, I boned it. I wanted to sleep again. Oh, I started feeling that pain again. Now the pain was now, it was increasing by the minute. So I now called the father that, this is how I'm feeling. Oh, he now said, and both of us are visually impaired. So he now said, so what do we do? I said, what do we do? Okay, I can't go out this night. We are going to wait till tomorrow morning. So he was scared that, one more being. I said, okay, so we went to sleep. Each time he could not sleep too. But I was telling him, sleep, okay, the pain has gone, the pain has gone. So I made sure he went to sleep. So, but even the sleep was not really, so if I turn, he will wake up, what's that? Nothing now, maybe I'm just turning. I mean, while I was in pain. So I shall have managed myself till around 4 a.m. So I was now saying, it's like, I don't think I can bear this pain. What do we do? He said, oh yeah, let us go. Let's wake up. And I was now saying, this time, what if what is it called? All these vigilante people, what if they now meet us? Or what if, I was thinking of all sorts so that we will not go. And I said, it's like the pain has subsided. He said, are you sure? Are you sure? I said, yes. Are you sure? I said, yes. Okay. I said, I can manage till 6. At least that time, we'll come across people when we are going. So then we had one guide with us. It was my husband's brother, the younger brother. So by 6, we got up. We went to the hospital. We used a private hospital that time. So when we got there, they tested me and all that. So they said, okay, he gave me a bed. The doctor guided me in. He was a man. So he showed me the bed, that this is where you will lie. So I was already uncomfortable. So he said, this is where you will put your head. I said, no, doctor, this side that you said is for the leg is where I will put my head. He said, where is that done? This is where you will put your head. Now, okay, he now showed me, see, there's a hole here. You can't put your head. If you put your head, where will the child pass? And if then, when you want to give birth to the child, there will be a lot of blood. So this hole is for the blood to drain into a bowl where we have put down. So Isha took him a lot of time, Sha, to convince me. I said, okay. So he now said, I can't climb yet. I have to off my clothes. So I was now wondering, God, you mean I will go naked? He said, that is how you will have your child. I said, hey, anyway, I don't want to do anything to you now. When you have your baby, I'm going to really get tough on you. I said, what will you do? And I said, oh yeah, off your clothes. So I off my clothes. Said I should lie down. And I'm a very shy person. I did not feel comfortable lying on the bed and him there towering over me. So I now said, when are your nurses coming now? He said, they are coming, they are preparing you. I said, oh God, okay. So the nurses came and I relaxed a bit. I felt, comfortable than when they were not around. So I labored till around, and I've been hearing all our mothers saying that it is whatever you use to start giving birth that you will use to end it. That if you start shouting, cursing, doing all these things, embarrassing yourself, that's how you have all your children. So I said, I was determined that, no, I will not shout. So whenever the pain came, I held on to the iron and I just kept on shouting, Jesus, Jesus, to the extent that the person in the next room did not even know that somebody was laboring in the other room. So when the time came, around past 1 in the afternoon, the doctor came and said, your baby is on the way. So when I say you push, you go and push. So I went to the toilet. They pumped water into me. They said I should go to the toilet so that I would be able to push. So I went to the toilet, and when I came back, I laid on the bed and the doctor said, push. And I did it with this time around. Somebody knew I was there. I shouted because I believe that the push is in the shout. So, yeah, I shouted, lo and behold, the baby came and, she was a very beautiful baby girl. And, I felt, I have a baby. Everybody's attention was on me. They did not allow me to lift even, a bowl of water. And I really loved it. I was very happy. It was wonderful. First day I was a mother.
Wow. Interesting. Joys of motherhood. Okay, so basically, it's interesting that Pastor Arowo hey, why am I mistaken? Pastor Arowo Shegbe, please pardon me, sir. And Madam Amuda, you have different gender. Pastor Arowo Shegbe has a male, and while you have a female. Now back to you, Pastor Arowo Shegbe. Looking at, you talked about your wife giving birth and the having to be in the hospital came around the house like almost the next day. And for a guy, when you give birth to a guy, there's a certain stage where you get to, and they will tell you that you need to, I don't know what they call this in English now, where you have to, I don't know if someone can borrow me that English. I don't want to say the Yoruba word, it might look offensive.
Circumcision.
Yes, circumcision. So please, how was it like for you? Did you ever, at that point in time, did you think, oh, how I wish I could see this process that they were doing to my son? How I wish I could, see him and all those things. Did you ever have that memory at that time? Did you have that memory? And how was it like?
I was not worried about seeing what was being done. It wasn't a burden to me. Maybe because I understand very clearly that circumcision is a process of becoming a real man. And of course, the pains, the screaming I have on the little baby made me uncomfortable, very much though. So, but then it was a situation I couldn't help. It was a process that ought to be done. It was a process the baby boy must go through if he must become a real man if he thinks he himself will get a wife in future. But at a point in time when I could no longer stick the screaming and the uncomfortable nature of the baby, as it were, I had to go hide in my neighbor's house until the entire process was over. I didn't feel sad that I didn't have sight to see the behavior, the manner, the reactions of the little boy. Of course, from the groaning from his screaming, you can deduce the fact that he wasn't comfortable at all. But it was a process that God has laid down, which must be done.
Wow, interesting. To you, Madam Kudi, as a woman who got married to a visually impaired man, and you have to undergo the process of birthing the child, bathing the child, you have to breastfeed the baby, and all those sorts. What was it like for you at that process, having to have your first bath? Yoruba will say they'll use a popopa to rub the body and all those things. So what was it like for you?
That first bath of using a popopa and all that stuff and all was done by the elderly people of the house. Yes. After we took the child from the hospital, the next thing was for them to bath her with the epopupa and the kongi and the everything. So that was done by the elders of the house. But while they were doing that, I was imagining how it was being done, because handling the baby, I was scared that I couldn't bath that child until the cord had dropped. Yes, I was scared because I was always thinking that, what if I'm bathing this child and the cord, I mistakenly use my hand to, drag the cord? I'm going to injure that child. So bathing the child before the 8th day was something I did not even want to do. Yes. Then breastfeeding. Yeah, when after they took care of the child and all that, and then maybe I think she slept or so. And after she woke up and began to cry, I carried the child. I said, I'll breastfeed. Then my mom was there. She was teaching me that if you are breastfeeding your child, you try to raise your leg. So you support your leg, your underfoot with something so that the child's neck will not ache. So I practiced that more often, and it was wonderful breastfeeding the child. And after the 8th day, then the umbilical cord had already dropped, and it was time for me to be bathing the child because my mom said I should come and spend some time with her. I said, no, I want to stay in my house. So I said, teach me how to bath for this child. And she explained, and the following day, I started to bath for her, as tiny as she was. And doing it, my mom was impressed. So then I was always proud of bathing my baby and dressing her. And, the smell of the powder, the smell of the soap, and, it was really, really enjoyable. It was fun. Yes, it was serious fun.
Wow, I can see you reminiscing and all that. But in case you're just joining us, welcome to Pacelli Alumni Webinar, where we get to celebrate the Children's Day in grand style. We have our guests who are talking to us seriously. And one thing I have noticed is that they have smiles, It's a moment of like flashback where you get to think about what you don't normally do or what you wouldn't have said, let me sit down to think about. And it's actually very nice and wonderful. So now let's move on. Let's move up a little bit. During this process, okay, I'm aware that Pastor Lawrence, I think, please pardon me to use that word now. Pastor Lawrence has a sighted wife, while Madam Kudi has a visually impaired husband. So now this is where my question is coming out from. Do you have a domestic help service that would help you train your children or your child as at that time? Now, this question is going back to you, Madam Kudi. Do you have a domestic help, like house help, to help you with the training of your child while she was growing up as at that time?
No, I didn't have any domestic help.
Wow.
I did everything by myself. I bathed her, I clothed her, I washed her clothes, I fed her, I did everything. I never had any domestic staff.
Nice. So, Pastor Lawrence, at what point in time did you say, oh boy, let me tell you about I go blind? At what point in time did you come to that realization that I want to tell my child my visual impairment story? And how did your child take it?
I never really had specific period to sit him down, in fact, to sit them down to say, this is how I became visually impaired. That has not come up yet. However, in the process of time, even they themselves have discovered that their father has sight impediment. The reason being that as young as they were at the time, they must have discovered that each outing we did, mom is always grabbing daddy's hand to the car, outside the car, to wherever we needed to go to. So basically, I think they grew up with the idea to say, I'm probably too, maybe they must have heard one or two things in school about those who are being held by hand, that they must have had loss of sight. So far, so good. I've never told them to sit them down officially to say, this is how we became blind. But I'm sure they must have heard me say, not to them directly, but maybe while talking to neighbors or otherwise, they must have heard me say, we lost sight at age so. We lost sight by through measles at the time. They must have overheard that. But to say that, did I sit them down officially and lecture them on that? No, I've never come to that realization. But they've already known that their dad has sight impairment.
Okay, interesting. So what about you, Madam Kudi, knowing fully well that your husband is visually impaired and you also are visually impaired? At what stage in time and how did they take it? Yeah, Madam Kudi, we're waiting for you.
Hello, please,
Yes,
I did not get the
hear.
question.
I said,
Network
at what point in time did you get to sit your child or children down to say, oh, I can't see, this was what happened and all that story?
Well, I never sat them down to say this and this was what happened. But when my daughter was in, was it GS2? I can't remember. She went to a boarding house. So she came home that day on holiday and, we got talking and she asked me, Mommy, kí ló tiẹ̀ ṣẹlẹ̀ to you? And I felt somehow, with that question, that, how come this one is asking this kind of question? So I now said, okay, I explained to her and she said, oh, girl, that she used to tell her friends that her mom can do everything and they were like, is she sure? Is she telling the truth and all that? So she didn't take it anyhow. Growing up, she had been with me and, she knows everything I can do. So it was not even anything. It did not mean anything to her while I was telling her the story. In some cases where she needed to laugh, she laughed and all that. So, but the others, I've not told them anything. They have just accepted me naturally like that. So.
Okay, so our audience, please be getting ready. In case you have any question, please put it in the chat box or you wait in the next 5 minutes. We should be rounding up with the guests. We have just about 4 questions left for them. So now I'm going to switch over to Pastor Lawrence. Now, talking about school activities and all that, do you go during parents teachers association meetings? Do you go to represent your son or daughter? Did I say represent now? Did you go? Which of you went as a parent? Is it you or your wife that went for the meeting? And how was it like? One, two. In terms of, I'm asking you two questions now. In terms of assignment, were there times you had to say, okay, come, let me help with your assignments, and were you able to, score the mark and all those things like that? So I'm asking you two questions. Number one, were you ever privileged to go for Parent Teachers Association meeting? And how was it like? Number two, in terms of assignment of your child or children, did you sit to say, okay, bring out your assignment, let me help you out with it?
Okay, let me take you off on the very last question concerning assignments. We come back to the PTA stuff. Just about 2 hours ago today, my little daughter, okay, usually it will have been the mother who will help her. My own part is just for them to read to me, to correct their grammatical errors majorly. But if it has to do with calculation and none of those stuff and graphs, that probably be handled by their mother. But so about 2 hours ago, called the little girl because the mother had other assignment engagement in the church. And I do know that she has test tomorrow in school. So I have to sit her down, and we went through 3 subjects majorly: English language, literature and English, and what they call verbal reasoning, quantitative verbal reasoning. When she was done reading to me, of course, I could handle English and literature and English properly for her. But when she got to quantitative verbal reasoning, I told her, I don't understand one bit of this, so probably you have to wait for your mother. I've always given them a helping hand, especially when it has to do with sentence constructions and some other, give them guidelines, generally speaking, at all subjects, except that I like to run away from mathematics. Don't ask me why. I'm sure you have an idea. But all other subjects, we can give them guidance, counselings, and what have you. I've always been participating. As for PTA meetings, oh yes, I go. I go. I don't know whether it's to represent them or go as a responsible parent. I think it's a responsible parent. I'm not actually representing the children, as it were. I go for PTA meetings, even though if we are to put it on scale, maybe their mother will have scored more because I don't know. Maybe it's just circumstance, but she go for more of the meetings. I know while my boy was in my staff school, I go for their PTA because that's very close to me in the office. So just to take a stroll to the school, attend PTA meetings. But outside the staff school, which he has also been, I know I've had privilege like twice or so being at their meetings. I don't have issues going to PTA, and I gain recognition because I will always participate and contribute. Somehow, I will find a way to raise a discussion, and that will make the authority, those who are at the high table, those executives coordinating the meeting, call for my contribution. So I've always gained recognition at those PTA meetings. Very wonderful, very interesting, very cheerful.
Wow.
Of course, finally on that, there are 1 or 2 occasions where both of us went for those meetings together, like the one coming up next Saturday now. It will be the 2 of us going there because that's a boarding school, as it were. And we're only privileged to see the boy once in a month. So 2 of us will likely go. 2 of us will majorly go for that.
Wow. Interesting. So become a parent isn't that sweeting you guys? All right. So let's move to Madam Kudirat. I'm going to ask you 3 questions in one. You heard those 2 questions. Number 1, PTA. Number 2, assignment. And number 3, when it comes to elo lata in the market, you know, how do you go around it? Go to the market to purchase food item. I don't even know how to ask the question, but in market and as a visually impaired person, how do you find your way around it?
Okay. First of all, I go to PTA meetings. Although recently I'm not regular, but I used to go one time regularly. So, and I'm being recognized. I try to raise issues too. And I try to, make all necessary contributions. Then talking about assignments, wow. Before they could read, I used to employ the services of their teachers or maybe grown-up neighbor that could assist them. But once they start reading, even if not to read properly, just spell it. If you spell, I'll pronounce the word. And in fact, that even taught them how to read. So when you read, Mommy, what is this? And when they spell it, when they read it, I'll put it together. Oh yeah, read it again. Then I will say, okay, so what is your answer? So they'll pick the answer and they'll do the underlining stuff themselves. So calculations, I just help them with the little I can. I don't know maths too. So going to the market, wow. I'm very good at doing marketing stuff. I can price, I can, I will crack all forms of jokes with you that the way the amount you don't want to sell it, you have to bring it down. So if I want to go to market, I used to go with my daughter, but now I always tell her, oh, you're too old for me. Let me take your brother. And she will laugh and she say, hey, Mommy, so you want to start abandoning me now, Abi? So I go with my son. We know all the nooks and crannies of the market. We know where we can buy plenty pepper. We know where we can buy cheap meat, So I always find my way around the market and I always had fun doing it.
Wow, interesting. So the last question before I move over to my audience, Pastor Lawrence, you said something about making yourself known and also positively contributing during meeting. And I want to ask, what's your relationship like with your children's friends and the teacher in terms of open day during I don't know if they still do that. There's something called open day. So all the parents will come, check the child's work, check the child books and all that. So what's your relationship like with your children's friends and also their teacher? What's your relationship like?
First of all, I must admit that the friends are limited. It's not until you have too many friends before you can function. And because of what environment looks like currently, friends are limited. But apart from that, yes, their teachers, we interact well with their teachers. I get to call them occasionally when there's a need for it. Why did this happen? Why did this not take place? So, in fact, the one I refer to as staff school, they know me there very, very well, maybe because I'm also a staff of that organization. So getting to their open day, which fortunately I do because of the staff thing. Of course, the mother too is always there. If I don't go, she goes. But being the staff school, I go there. Yes, one of the things you're supposed to do when you go for open day is to check the performance of your wards, as it were. So when I get there, I call the teachers. I'm supposed to look at the books, look at their works, and what you can call the output and input of the student. But since we are not privileged to cite, we just ask questions from the teachers. How well is this baby faring in this subject, in that subject, and what have you? And so they tell us, and then we follow up on that. So we interact very well with their teachers. I interact very well with their teachers. I interact very well with their friends. In the month of March, I want to be specific. Yeah, in the month of March, somebody called my line. It was a baby, a secondary school boy now, and he said, "Can I speak to Enoch?" And I said, "Who are you?" He said, "I'm his friend." Oh, really? What class are you? He said, "I'm in JS1." I said, "Okay, so Enoch is your senior then?" He said, "Yes, but I'm his friend." Well, Enoch is still in school. How come about you are not in school? And of course, he told the story that they had privilege to leave the school before time, that Enoch just chose to be very official by staying the whole day in school. So I interact very well with their friends. I make them comfortable because I make friends easily too. One of the things I love doing, even currently too, is to make friends, maybe because we did a bit of communication. So we interact, we make good friends. If there's anything I love doing, it's making friends and visiting.
Woo, wonderful. Okay, so the mic is over to you, Madam Kudi. How does it feel like? How do you interact with the teachers of your children and vice versa, your children as well, your children's friends? What's the interaction like?
Yeah, I have all their numbers. That is talking about the teachers, the proprietor, and all that. So I do call them. I go for open day, although again, I don't go always. But once I'm opportune to be there, I always try my best to talk with their teachers. How are they faring? Where do you think this child is lagging behind and all that? So, or what other thing do you want me to do? Maybe to encourage the child or so, talk about the child generally. I do it with their teachers. So their friends, well, I would say is my first daughter that really has friends like that. She went to a boarding house. So when they are coming back from school, there are some of them they come home with. So, and they are so close to me to the extent that they even call me on phone to say hello and to say, Mommy, I'm sorry for not calling you since. How are you? And all that. They even know my birthday. They call me. So, and in school, they will say, if we have not eaten Toby's mommy's food, we have not eaten any food in this school. So on visiting days, they always save her mommy's food for the last. So I'm good with her friends. I'm very good with them. So
wonderful. Nice. It's actually been nice, learning from Madam Kudirat and Pastor Lawrence. It's been a wonderful experience. It just left me smiles and all that and started thinking, especially from the very first question down to this moment. And I believe that many people who are on this call will definitely also have one or two questions to ask you both. So over to us, audience, beautiful men and ladies. Have any question, please raise your hand while the host, help us to do the needful. Don't forget, it's still Pacelli Alumni's webinar hangout, actually, where we get to celebrate the Children's Day in Grand.
Hello.
Yes, please. Your name and your question.
Yeah. My name is Stephen. Good evening, everyone, and good evening to the panelists for today. I really appreciate for this wonderful experience so far. I believe you can hear me.
Yes, please.
Very well, very well.
All right. Pastor Lawrence, my question goes this way. The very first day till now that you had your baby, as in right from the very first day you had your baby up until now, what were the challenges that you were going through?
Mr. Stephen, we lost you there. Your network is a bit, and I don't want to presume because I only heard the challenges from the inception till now. While we wait for him to join us, because I don't want to presume his question, do we have any other person who wants to ask question? You can type it on the chat box or you unmute your mic and ask your question.
Yes, Adiola has raised his hand.
Okay, Adiola, you have the floor.
Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon. Your mic is far from your mouth. Can you come close?
Okay, I'm far away.
Okay, I think he is using a Bluetooth, so we cannot hear you very clearly,
Yeah.
Adiola. You have to take it off.
You can hear me now.
Yes,
Perfect.
better.
Okay, so my question is this. I want to ask the two panelists. Firstly, let me appreciate them for doing well to have said all of this and for the time given to us. So I want to ask, how were you able to curb some of the excesses of your children, especially at the tender age? You know, at times, little children can put their hand in their mouth, in their nose, or even when eating, they might not be eating properly or some of those things. So how were you able to discover those things and how were you able to curb some of those things?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or even sucking. You're right. So who will go first?
Let me go first.
All right.
You know, as a visually impaired parent, yes, one cannot, you know, argue the fact that
Adam Kudi, you know, we're talking. Perhaps you can tell your mic.
I think she's frozen because
the school
yeah, we
wants
can.
attention. Hello?
Yeah, we can
So
hear you
we
now.
lost you a bit.
Okay. I said, especially when you don't, one cannot argue the fact that there are some things that go unnoticed as visually impaired parents. So this kind of situation, the school helps one to, you know, detect some things. You know, when you are very familiar with the school, that was the question they asked earlier. You know, when you go friendly with the teachers and all that, they are the ones that will call you, mommy, lagbaja, omo, yi ma n se bayi o. So once they've told you that, oh, this is what your child does, maybe he sucks or he okay, I've had that situation that my daughter was always doing everything with her left hand. So
I'm sorry to interrupt you a little. I'm talking of maybe they are growing up, maybe at age 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Or 4.
Where Shara when it's falling.
Stage 1, 2, 3, 4.
Satiola, your voice is sinking
We
into
can't
your
hear
Bluetooth.
you.
Stage 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, when the child is still in the house with you, maybe
Yes, not yet in school.
from baby to maybe 1 or 2 before the child goes to school.
Yeah.
Well, as a visually impaired parent, okay, what I did, I might not have curbed all those things, but at least part of it, I want to believe I did. Most times, I make sure I'm having connection with the child. Maybe I'm touching you. What are you doing? What are you this? unexpectedly, I could just go and, touch the child. What are you doing? And so that I will know what you are doing and all that. And then about eating, when the child wants to eat, I'm there. Which hand are you using? I will show the child, from time to time. The child might not really take it immediately, but once I did it often, the child got used to it. And then when the child got into school, the teachers too played their role by calling my attention to certain things, and I worked on them. So that's it.
Lawrence, over to you.
I think one of the disadvantage is a loss of sight. And because that happens, it means you must have to sacrifice some other things in order to get the results the same. Rightly speaking, I think she's touched what I was trying to point out, that you just go check the baby. When they are within that 0 to 1 or 2 years, what I did is, once I see that the baby is extremely quiet, then I know something is going on. So I go gently towards the baby, have a touch or have a feel. Is he or she well positioned? If yes, try to check the hands. Is there anyone going through to the mouth? If there is, then we gently pull it down. And I did that quite often. As such, of course, that's a tender age. So when they begin to grow up, once I pull it out, which was not very frequent though, their sobbing of fingers wasn't very frequent. But once I discover it and I pull it down, we say things like, no, don't do that. That's very dirty. Of course, gradually they got used to it. You can't handle that 100%, but within limited ability, you are still able to check it to an essence. I think I just leave it that way.
Thank you, bro. You said something now and I just smiled because I remember I was a stubborn sucker. I sucked my left hand very well. So I was wondering if any of my parents was to be visually impaired and you just said you just gently leave it down. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, because I wonder how that gentle will work for me as a being. I sucked like seriously.
We pull it down as often as it's necessary.
Okay, nice.
Okay, Kemi, sorry,
Yes,
can I react a little bit to
Yes.
this question? So maybe because I have very small experience, but this is something that I know is very doable. In fact, maybe almost, if not 100%, maybe 99%. So for me, when I was taking care of my baby, who is just 2, by the way, I made sure that as a visually impaired person, fine, me and the father, we are both visually impaired. So I made sure that I kept my home very clean. So one thing you need to be watchful of is the fact that these children will pick things from the floor. So you have to ensure that the home, where everywhere is neat and clean enough. And then also be mindful of things that you are putting on the floor for the child to play with. For me, for instance, all his toys in the morning like that, when I'm going to be giving him his toys to play with, I'll first wash all of them. So the floor is clean, the toys are neat. So, and I make sure that I don't keep things that, for us visually impaired people, we are very organized. So our houses are, you don't even just put things on the floor like an iron or anything that can hurt a child. You don't just put them. We are not as careless as the sighted people. So for me, I just ensure that everywhere, I make sure that, okay, there's nothing that can harm this child, somewhere around, and all his toys are clean. So even if he's going to, because definitely he will put his toys in his mouth. Then for the sucking, my baby sucked. So he sucked his hand. And initially when he started, it was the period when I was with my in-laws. And my mother-in-law is somebody who likes children sucking. So she prevented me from stopping him. And those periods when I was with her for like a month. So my baby developed the habit. If I mastered the habit of sucking his hands. But by the time I came back to my own house, I started wearing gloves. gloves regularly, socks in his hands. If he pulls them out, I'll take another one. For us as blind parents, one thing is that because that people are looking at you, people are watching you, they want to see that, they just want to see that one that you will not do well. People want to see that one so that they can say, it's because she cannot see. So you have to be able to stand out and ensure that, no, you have to just put extra effort. So for me, I was doing a lot of things to ensure that, in fact, a neighbor of mine one day, when she could no longer hold back, she said, do you know that anytime you wash your baby's clothes, I used to go and check on the hanger to see which one is dirty or which one has stains. But to my surprise, I don't find those things. So we have to just do extra things to ensure that these children are taken care of properly. So what a sighted person will neglect and, be relying on, I will watch the child, I will check his hand, I will check. No, for me, I make sure that I don't put things like, you can't even, see my child playing with something that is unclean, for instance, because I won't even put it where he will play. He will be playing. So I just thought I should add that to what they have said. So we also have Nkechi. She's raising her hand as well.
Please unmute your mic and ask your question.
Yeah, hello, good evening, everyone. Okay, I want to appreciate the organizers of this program. It's a very nice one. My question goes to, how were you able to cope with giving medications to the child? For instance, at some point you have maybe some syrup that will tell you use 1.5 dosage and all that, especially for those who both parents are visually impaired. How were you able to cope with that? Maybe you can react to the question before I ask another one.
No, maybe you should just ask the two questions.
No,
so that
they'll answer simultaneously.
Okay, the other question is, in terms of like feeding the child, these days some medical practitioners will tell you that you don't use feeder. You feed your child with a spoon. For instance, if you are giving pap. So how are you able to overcome not as in staining the child's clothes or something with the substance he or she is being fed?
I guess this question is from Madam Kuti.
Well,
yeah.
I think those questions are for me.
Yep.
I hope I'm not muted anyway.
No, you are not. We can hear you.
Okay. When you come to administering drugs to the children, now there's a
I can't hear again.
in every so there are some times they will give you more than 2-3 drugs. So I take it upon myself as a parent with visual impairments to know each of them. It's either I label them or I try to recognize them for which one they are. So when they say 1.5, there's a line in the measurement cap. They would have already told you that 2.5 is half. 5 mil is the full cap. So 1.5 is the first line. And of course, in that situation, it also boils down to cleanliness. You use your hand. Yes, when I'm giving my child medicine, I will check if I put the medicine in the cup. I will make sure I wash my hand clean already. Then I'll check if I put it, if it is 1.5, it has to be on the first line. So that is how I give the medicine. Once I put it in the cap, I put it to the child's mouth and the child takes it. Then when you come to feeding the child with spoon, well, I don't think I've ever heard them saying, don't feed your child with feeding bottle. My children used feeding bottle. But in case there's anyone that did not want to use feeding bottle, you who know that the cloth will be soiled, you use bib. You use bib for the child. So if there's any stain, you remove it, you wash it and clean the child up. So I used feeding bottles. And so that is it.
Okay. Any other question? Anyone?
Yes, we have Mr. Kazim Lawal.
Okay, Mr. Kazim Lawal, can you unmute yourself and ask your question? Oshas, pass the mic, and be fast about it, Oshas. Mr. Lawal, we're waiting for you to ask your question.
Maybe he's
Good
trying
evening,
to.
all.
Okay,
Okay.
good
This is
evening.
Kazim. Can you all hear me?
Yes, you're
Sure, we
welcome.
can.
My name is Kazim Lau from FCT. I must commend the executive committee of our great alumni association for this wonderful session. And I must also commend the panelists. Pastor, well done, sir. And Mama Kudi,
Yes,
I know she will
God bless
recognize
you.
me now.
very well.
She was my school mother then in Pacheli.
Olalekan.
So welcome, ma. Well done, ma. Well done, ma. Well done, ma. I have a contribution as well as a question. My contribution relates to how the question as to how the panelists were able to tell their children what happened to them. What resulted to their visual impairment. There are some children that are very curious, and I'm saying this from experience. My child will be 3 years in August, and for some weeks now, he's been asking me, Daddy, why can't you open your eyes? You know, the first time he asked, I was embarrassed because I didn't know how to tell him that my eyes are opened, but it cannot be as opened as, as his own. So I started thinking, oh, like this, but I didn't answer him for some minutes. He kept asking, Daddy, open your eyes now. Why are you not opening your eyes? I said, Amar, I cannot see. He said, no, you can see. You can see. So, and I had to invite the mother to explain further because I was a bit emotional, So, going forward, for those of us that are, parents that are visually impaired, we must have to, as the pastor said, use appropriate method, age-appropriate method now to explain to them. Then my question goes thus. Well, how were you able to deal with children? When I say children of ages 1 to 3, how were you able to deal with their trickery? Some of them could be trickery. Like this afternoon, sorry, I have to relate it to my own child. This afternoon, our power was electricity was just restored. So usually when there is light, he watches Jim Jam. So we had no light. And I decided not to switch on the gen. I had wanted to leave it for the evening. So he kept disturbing me. Daddy, I want to go to Bisola's house. That's his friend, our neighbor. I want to go to Bisola's house. I said, Amar, you can't go now. You can't go now. It's a bit sunny. He said, Daddy, but I want to go. So I started petting him. I laid him down, thinking he was going to sleep. He pretended as if he slept, or maybe he was even feeling sleepy. I wouldn't know. So I went to the toilet to ease myself. Could you know that by the time I came out of the toilet, he had left the sitting room. So, Pastor and Madam Kuti, how are you able to deal with some of these situations? Thank you.
I'm so happy to hear your voice this afternoon. Olamilekan.
Thank you.
In fact, it's been a while. Well,
Yes, sir.
Children will always be tricky. Even the ones that are more than 3. You know, my children here, one is 6, and the other is going to be 4 this year. And you know, 2 of them will just be whispering, "Come, what are you doing?" They say, "Mommy, nothing. No, I'll just sit them down." You shouldn't do anything in secrecy. I tell them, if you are doing something, don't hide it from mommy. It's bad children that do that. So when you want to do something, tell me. Or when you have done something, tell me. It's when you don't tell me and I see it, that is when I will beat you. But if you tell me, I will not beat you. So when you continue telling such children, when you continue telling them this constantly, they will know they are not supposed to, you know, keep secrets. And if you watch them closely, you get them doing something. Once they know they are being busted, they will open up to you. And by that, you know, they'll grow up with it and they will calm down on their tricks. So.
Yeah, Pastor, over to you.
Kazim Lawal, I suppose.
Yes.
Is that the name?
Yes.
Okay. Nice hearing from you too. On a lighter mode, before I go to answering your question, while I was an active NAB executive, we had a national meeting at one of the hotels in Ikorodu. I think that must be around 2012 or so. And I went with my boy then. And while the meeting was on, everybody seated on the table. The boy came, he spoke out, a young boy at the time. He said, Daddy, why is everybody on this table, why is their eyes closed? I'm just trying to make a light mode there. Basically to say that, and just yesterday, Saturday, while I was waiting for my daughter, she said, Daddy, open your eyes now. I was like, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
The eyes, you know. I said, oh, it's open already. He said, well, but it's not seen like my own. I said, well, you won't understand yet. So, as time goes by, those children will know who their parents are, what exact conditions they are. Then going back to your question, like she says, children, everybody have we did something like that. So when we were younger, when parents will tell you, I remember my first time to switch on a ceiling fan in Surulere, where I live with my grandma then. I was excited to say, Adegoke, you switch on the fan. I was happy within me. But here is grandma saying, no, you don't do that. Electricity, my burugon, you do. So children will be children. All you need to do is just to make sure you give them right counsel all the time. And believe you me, that counsel is very necessary, especially for today's world, where society has its negative influence. You must really give your children the best of counsel. And take it from me too, whatever your children see you do, they're likely going to take after you. So if you are fond of playing pranks, don't be surprised, the children will play pranks too. If you are fond of being very sincere and open, Yoruba says something, I don't know, I'm going to interpret that. But they do say that So whatever you do, your children will take after you. That's why you must be very, the words Kudi use were the same words my wife will always use. Talking to the children, no, you don't hide anything from your parents. It means that you're a bad person if you are hiding. Those are exact words she will use too. But by and large, it is God who really will help train the child. But you have a part to play.
Wow, interesting. It is God who has the ultimate, but you also have to use your parenthood's knowledge to train the child the way that the Lord wants. All right, so any other question?
Adiola is raising his hand again. I don't know
Okay.
if he has another
Adiola.
question.
Daddy Patrick, you have the floor. Don't use your Bluetooth headset. Ushers, please pass the mic. Yep.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi.
Okay, my question is this. For parents who are blind, or how were you able to cope with relatives? For instance, when you go for occasions, and as a wife or as a husband, we have roles we play when we attend family occasions, especially when it has to do with in-laws. How did you solve these issues, or you were just left to say, well, leave that person? For instance, for a wife who is attending, can you hear?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay, go.
I didn't hear your question.
Okay, so my question is this. I'm saying that for a wife, for a mother who is a visually impaired person, and you are attending your, let's say, in-laws occasion, in Yoruba land, there are roles that you play as a wife in that place. Maybe help to serve, or help to clear up dishes or something like that. How were you able to play this responsibility, or you were just left to say, well, leave that person, we cannot do it? Or even as a man who is attending in-laws occasion, and you know the roles that you should play in in-laws occasion, how did you play this as a visually impaired person? Thank you.
Okay. As a visually impaired wife, going for an in-laws occasion, first of all, the in-laws know that this our wife is a visually impaired. You cannot tell her to go and be serving people or go and clear dishes. It's not done. The little you can, maybe, is to help them. Oh yeah, what do we want? If it is what you want to do, if you can help them to, oh yeah, I want to wash rice. I want to, maybe I will do I will do this. At least one can easily do all those ones. But clearing dishes and going to serve, no. It's not a task that should be given to a visually impaired wife, because even they themselves know that this person she can't do this thing. So we shouldn't overburden her with them. So that is it.
Sister Lauren.
The answers will not be too different. If I were to go to my in-laws function, Shebi is their own function. Me, I'm only there to support, and probably I will support financially.
Exactly.
Yes, if one was in proper conditions, as it were, maybe you want to give a helping hand by helping. As a man now, depending on what kind of occasion we are talking about, if it's a very massive party, you probably want to help them serve drinks, serve water, clear the table, clear the environment. But seeing as it is that sight is a disadvantage, You buy your, you use money to buy your honor. You use some change to buy your honor. Hold on 1 second. Just 1 second. Adishewa, go and get me a drink from the fridge. So you just use your money to buy some honor. Fortunately, I interact well with all of my in-laws. I really interact well with them. Each time, because even their daughter that I marry, she too doesn't even like, she would rather pay for service rather than do it herself. So I hide under that. Maybe that's what we do. Their family has functions. Majorly, they've invited all their guests. We just pay for the service, and everybody sit and watch and relax. Okay, that's what we do.
Nice. Will I fin do something? No, yeah. So, all right. Basically.
Oh God.
Do we have any other pressing?
So last question.
Sorry, can I
think
quickly add to the contribution by Pastor and Madam Kudi?
Okay.
This is Kazim. You know, people often say that, how do I put it in English now? Meaning that a word could either bring out a sword or honor. What I'm trying to say in essence is that comportment matters, manners, you know. I'm speaking for those that may not have the financial muscle to do what Pastor does. You know, when you relate well with your in-law, they will so much understand you that, oh, if he has, he will. If he doesn't, you know, and they will just let everything slide. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I think the last person.
Can I add one more thing to what has just been said? Okay, you know, some of the rules. Pastor Aloro Shegbe has said that for his own.
Jesus.
I know that it will not be the same for everybody, though. For instance, he has money to use to pay for it. Some of those rules could include, as a man, you're doing Ileya in your in-laws' house. You have to be there to help them to pay.
Yes, sir.
As a man,
Yes.
you have to help them to slaughter the ram, cut it, and all those things.
And Bo.
I want to let you help them to arrange care. But if you don't have the power to pay for money or those kind of things, Kazima said it that once you are able to relate well, those things can be waived. And for the woman too, Baba Lagbaja today, yẹ̀yin ìyàwó lé ẹ lọ kí wọn, wọ́n máa náwó ìyàwó fún yín, all those kind Yoruba things. If you relate well too, it may be waived for you, your presence, or even if you don't come at all, I think they will understand as well. So that's my little contribution.
Thank you very much. I think we have the last question.
You can greet
Yeah,
Baba Lagbaja
from
now.
Nkechi.
You can greet Baba Lagbaja now. Yeah,
You
we
can
should
greet
you.
to collect money.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, Daddy Rafa, eti de.
Need them all.
It's so annoying. You're now facing another place.
So when they say you should come and serve rice, you cannot serve. That one you cannot see. Nkechi.
Thank you very much. I'm here once again. Like on the lighter mode, I don't know, like you read my mind. Okay, but my other question, going by children, like when they are growing up, at some point, maybe there'll be something maybe some screen reaction or something on their face, their body, or something. How were you able to take notice of all these?
Those are children that have not put their voice to words or words to voice.
Yes, yes.
All right. That's KJ.
Sorry, I didn't get Nkechi's question. I was trying to look for a drink.
Okay, she's asking that for children who are yet to talk, in case or instances. Okay, she said that instances where a child has like rashes or all those skin infection, how do you get to know? That's children that are yet to speak. Yeah, put their voice to words or words to voice.
Yeah,
So
rashes are visible things. Once you touch your baby's body, you can see the bump, you can see, oh, this place used to be smooth. How is it like this? You know, and you call attention. Maybe you show, maybe there are some women around. Mommy, so, please, can you help me check this thing? What is this? Or you take the child to the nearest pharmacy in case you are a me and my husband type. You take the child to the pharmacy or the hospital. Once you notice anything on the child's body, you know, it is very visible. It's something you can easily know. It's just like an adult's body. Or when the child is sick, you will notice a difference in the temperature or maybe the child's mood. You will know that this child used to be lively now. What is wrong with you? You are just sleeping. Then you know something is wrong. Or your child is not eating, or the child is just crying, you know, and it's not something that used to happen on a norm. So you begin to, you know, give attention to such conditions and you know what to do. Maybe go to hospital or go and you don't even buy the child medicine. Just take the child to the hospital. They'll be able to tell you what exactly is wrong with the child.
Yes. Pastor Lawrence, would you like to add?
Yes, rashes are noticeable. You don't need too much sight to discover that. On a lighter note, many years ago, before I became very serious Christian, I was to date, I was dating. Okay, I was making an attempt to date a lady, as it were. We're talking about rashes here now. I was making an attempt to date it was a police girl. I had my office in Falomo, Ikoyi. And one Saturday, she visited me in the office in the afternoon, since I work on Saturdays then. And I held her arms. And I discovered it wasn't very smooth. And I said to myself, if the outside is rough, the inside will be terrible.
The inside.
And that was how I let go. The point I'm making, though it's a lighter mood, is to say that rashes are visible. Rashes are visible. If you ever notice that, if you know your child normally have smooth skin, and you now begin to feel bumps and unsmooth texture of the body, you will know something is wrong. Of course, you can double check by asking any sighted to have a look at the baby on your behalf, just to confirm your curiosity. They are noticeable anyway.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, I wanted to. Who is that?
Sorry, it's Nkechi. Apart from rashes, like there are some people that along the line, their skin start having like double color. As if a double color.
I even wanted to say something about that. That is not all rashes that are noticeable. So like you have eczema, for instance, you can't feel it and notice, like it's not visible by touch. And for me, my baby had that at a time. But the thing is, you have other people, you know, coming around, maybe neighbors.
Yes.
So somebody looks at the child and tells you, I think this child has eczema, or see, oh, this small spot. Me, what I did was instantly, like, I just took the child to the pharmacy and showed it to them. Oh, they said this child has something, you know, and they just gave me the drug. So it's not all that you can actually feel, but you also have to rely on, you know, whatever any other person tells you to say, this child has this, so then you take action immediately. But for the ones that are noticeable, the ones you can feel, you know, and sometimes also, like, for instance, I had an experience of my child had, in fact, I had never seen that sort of rashes before on the head, like underneath the scalp. So when we just cut his hair, the first night we cut his hair, there was this very strange rashes. They call it, in fact, it was then I knew the name. So it was called cradle cap. So it's like a rashes, like when you are combing the hair, it's dropping, it's coming off. And then they were saying is, you know, the Yoruba say ela. I don't know what ela is called in English, by the way. So my mom says ela is, wait, this ela, what do we use? They said is agbo, whatever, they cooked agbo. I used agbo like 3 days. When my mom left me, the day she left, the next day, this agbo, I'm still giving this baby, and this ela is not going. And the head, like the thing just keeps coming. I wasn't comfortable myself. Immediately, I just took the child to the pharmacy. They recommended, you know, a cream, and I used that cream within 24 to 48 hours. The child was fine. But meanwhile, other neighbors, you know, women, and they, apparently it wasn't even anything that had to do with Ella. So the ones you can notice yourself, you may not have to, you know, wait or seek opinions of maybe neighbors, because some of them might not even, you know, have a good, like, they just tell you what they suspect. It's better you take the child to the experts. But the ones that you cannot see, that they draw your attention to, then you take action immediately. So that's what I wanted to say. I think
you
that's
very much.
all. We don't have any other question.
Yeah.
So
I think that's all. Thank you very, very much. At this juncture, I would like to sincerely appreciate our panelists who have been very, very enlightening to us. And it's been wonderful. It's like this seminar or this hangout should not end, but definitely. So thank you very much. And one thing we need to take home is that as a visually impaired parent, we should not shut our mouth. Yoruba would say that it's not the parent that teaches the child, it's the whole community. Not that you should not start going and be, if your child goes to the toilet, go and tell neighbors. That doesn't mean that. What I'm trying to say is that don't be so close, like not reaching out, saying that you don't want people to think that because I cannot see, that's why I won't be able to know. Please always seek help. Please always speak out where necessary. And you have seen now that regardless of their visual impairment, they are happy parents, and they are, you know, I can't forget the first experience. The first question I asked, if you joined it anyways, first question I asked was very nice. I love the answers that were given. Thank you, and definitely we'll do this in a grand style with another topic. I'm just overwhelmed, I'm short of words. So thank you to the executive members, the president, down to the secretariat, down to the public PRO, down to the every section. In fact, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm getting married next 2 weeks. All righty, so everyone, this is where we
just before you signed out,
all right,
maybe my closing remarks. Marriage is heavy, and it comes with responsibilities. Only those who are prepared for it that will scale through. It's not just I love you,
yes,
you.
Sir. Very thorough.
Not much more than that. It's very heavy, and it comes with responsibilities. That's one part. The other one I want to really rest on is to say that regardless of challenges, if you trust God, He will definitely make you skate through all hurdles and challenges, no matter what. So it is, you know, the word of God assures us that we should train up our child or our children in the way they should go. So when they grow up, they will not depart from it. So whether you are visually impaired or you are fully sighted, God's hands is needed in training of children. Let me rest it that way for today.
Thank you very much, Pastor Lawrence. Thank you very much. Auntie Kudi, do you have any parting shot?
Like
she's frozen.
Why are you frozen? We can't hear you. Hey.
Like he has rightly said, he will not depart from.
Should learn to take good care of our children.
Not always leave them see before you leave the house. Try to know what they are doing. Try to, always talk with them so that at least they'll be able to relate with you what they are going through. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is where we come to the end of today's program. Till next time, adios. Double.
Bye, people.
Yes. Stop the recording before it goes more than.